Hey everyone, my name is Chris Green, and in this video, we're going to tackle taking some of these gunky pedals, specifically ones that you get used online, and trying to fix them up so that you could almost say that they're in excellent condition. This one was listed as a fair condition pedal, and I thought, you know what? I've always been interested in trying to restore things back to normal, so we're going to try and address some of the stuff that's happening on the logo here, the Boss pedal. There's obviously some gunk here, and we're going to go through and clean out some of the contact points where we have our power connection and then where we insert our instrument cable and so forth. So let's get started. Okay, everyone, I've actually just finished cleaning the pedal, and there's a few things that I just want to shout out really quick. I'm going to put links in the description. You're going to want to get yourself a dry erase marker if you're dealing with anything that has Sharpie or permanent marker on your guitar pedal. Just go and find yourself a dry erase marker. You probably have lots of those laying around. The next item is this nice little nifty knife tool that I've got on Amazon here. This is a plastic knife at one end, and then the other end has a razor blade. Do not use the razor blade on your guitar pedals. It will surely scratch them up. But this is something I've used around the house for a long time, like when I need to get into the grout or around the sinks in our kitchen. It's just nice to have. That's not going to cut anything, but it's good for scraping off any sort of gunk you might have. Next thing is going to be some contact cleaner. You can get whatever brand you want. They pretty much all work the same. Just make sure you have the little nozzle and make sure you store it neatly. Usually when these come in, they usually have this nozzle part taped to the side of the bottle. The contact cleaner is fine to use pretty much on any part of the guitar pedal. You can use it on the outside of the guitar pedal. You can use it on the inside. It's not going to damage anything, and it does dry very quickly. WD-40, on the other hand, is not meant for the inside of your guitar pedal. This will definitely cause some damage for you because it leaves a lot of oily residue. So the only time I'm going to be using this WD-40 possibly is with the bottom of my guitar pedals or any sort of rubber parts that just need to get a little bit of that gunk up. Next thing is this Music Nomad amp and case cleaner. This is basically a polish, but it's meant for basically your guitar pedals or your guitar amps, anything that's kind of sturdy. You just need to polish it up a little bit. And I definitely think you'll see the results in this video as we take this guitar pedal from looking not so good to great. Of course, there'll be links in the description of this video for all of these products. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Now let's get started cleaning the pedal. The first thing I want to address is this Velcro on the back. A lot of you out there, you're probably just going to leave the Velcro where it is, but if you are interested in removing this, you can simply just use a butter knife if you need to pry up an end. I've got this from using around the house. I've really enjoyed using this one I got off of Amazon. It's basically this blade tool. So one side has a razor blade. I don't want to use that on any of my guitar pedals, but the other end has this neat little plastic blade that's not going to do any damage to like the paint. You can simply use it the same way you would use a butter knife. I just want to get in here and try to pry up one of the corners. If I can get a little bit of it pried up, I can then just peel off pretty good. That one came off nice and easy. So there's always going to be a little bit of residue with some of this Velcro. If you really want to clean this up, one thing that we could use is some WD-40. Now, one thing I'll say, disclaimer, if you are using WD-40, it does not need to get anywhere near the inside components of your guitar pedal. So what I'm going to do, instead of spraying this directly onto the pedal, I'm going to grab myself a little bit of a rag. I've got a few different rags here, microfiber cloths. I'm going to make sure I've got one designated specifically for WD-40. So I'm going to go with this yellow one. WD-40 will leave a little bit of residue and oil, and you don't want to get that on the inside. I'm really just going to be applying it to this rubber here, and then there'll be some stuff that we tackle on the front of the pedal as well. You can use WD-40 on that also. So I'm just going to spray a little bit onto the corner flap of this microfiber cloth. Okay, kind of rub that together. Then we're going to start tackling the bottom of this pedal. Just giving it a light wipe on the back. All right, that already looks a lot better, but I can still see a little bit going on right here. I could try and use that plastic knife from earlier. See if we can get the light just right. I can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to get in and just do a little bit. See if we can carve out whatever that stuff is. actually work pretty well. I'm going to keep using the knife just to loosen up whatever that gunk is. I'm not pressing too hard, so I don't want to cut the rubber. But whatever that sticky stuff is, it seems to be crumbling up. Kind of looks like earwax. Let's see, was there anywhere else? Okay. Find my corner here. Get another wipe. All right, that looks pretty great. It's got a little bit of dust there, but as far as it goes, if you're looking to resell your pedal, that, when you see the bottom, is going to look just fine. If you do need to take the rubber off, a lot of times too, with these Boss pedals, you can peel this up as well, or if you need to take off the entire back panel, you can access these screws right here, which we may need to do later if needed, but the back is looking great. Okay, so as far as WD-40 goes, that's about all we're going to be using it for. I really don't want to use it on the rest of the pedals. I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to make sure I don't use this yellow cloth again, especially when we get around components. I'll use this blue cloth. Now we're going to introduce this, which is great for what we're going to be doing with the front, all the sides, the outside components of the guitar pedal. I'm using this amp and case cleaner. This is from Music Nomad. It really only costs us a few dollars, and it has a ton in here. If you're somebody that regularly resells your equipment, if that is guitar amps or guitar pedals, it's just great to have on hand. Now, this is not going to do what WD-40 does. It's not going to leave any sort of residue. It should be a quick, dry application. So I'm just going to squirt some of it out onto this rag, and then I'm going to go around all of the outside parts of the Boss pedal. It's not going to be bad if I just kind of brush over some of these components here, the input jack or the output jack, but I really don't want to like pour any sort of polish in there. I'm just going to take my rag and go around and wipe the outside edges. Particularly, I'm looking to get rid of whatever this gunk stuff is. Okay, so on this, it's got a little tab on the top you can pull out, and we're just going to apply some of it onto the corner of this microfiber cloth. Just a little bit. And already you can see it's making quite a difference on the cover. It's going to give it a nice shine. If you want to use gloves, that would totally be acceptable. I should probably be wearing some myself, but I'm just going to make sure I wash my hands after this. Definitely don't want to touch your face or anything when you have polish. If you see some streaks, just go ahead and try to buff it out as best you can. Get a dry spot on your towel. Just go around and wax on, wax off, as they would say. All right, here's the troublesome area on the top. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on there. It's like they might have used some sort of paint or some sort of tape to try to indicate where the knobs should be placed. Reach for that plastic knife again, see if I can get some of this gunk up. Again, I definitely would not use the razor blade side of this putty knife, because then you're just asking for it. Let's see if I can go ahead and remove these knobs. They seem to be getting in the way. If you just pull on them, give them a tug, and they'll just pop off. Now that these parts are a little bit more exposed, I do want to be careful. Again, don't be using any sprays. And if you apply any sort of liquid, just put it on your cloth first so that you can wipe on, wipe off. Now, it could be that the paint has chipped in these areas. I still think as I'm rubbing my finger on it, I can definitely feel that there's some raised parts. This pedal has been dinged up for sure. So unfortunately, whenever you see this kind of thing happening on the corners of the pedal, that's usually not going to hurt too much on the resale value. You probably would have to knock it down from being in like great condition to good condition. This one's a little bit worn out for sure. You're not going to be able to buff out places where the paint has already chipped. But as far as things go, we're looking a lot better than we were previously. I'm just going to try my best to scrub these things out and see if this is a residue right here, if we can go ahead and remove that. So that section there next to the word check, it's definitely got some of it that came up there. So that's looking a little bit better. That's more promising. Okay, this one's being pretty persistent. It has cleaned up fairly well. It looks like they might have used a Sharpie marker, so we're going to have to figure out what we can do about that. It's not worth it to me in removing the Sharpie. If it's going to remove any of the paint underneath, it might end up looking worse to try and have that removed. But all this white stuff does seem to be coming up. I just need to put a little bit more elbow grease. All right, one thing I'm going to try with this, what appears to be Sharpie marker. Somebody was trying to mark where they wanted their level and gain knob set. This is something I saw online. I'm going to try and use this dry erase marker to actually write over where the Sharpie is and see if it comes up. That actually seemed to work really, really well. So you can see, I'm going to keep trying this. We'll put dry erase marker wherever I see something that looks like permanent marker. So right above the word tone, I'll scrub some there. And then here, last little spot. I'll just wipe it away. It does look a lot better. I'm sure if you only had the Sharpie marker on there for a few minutes, this would work a lot easier, but this might have been on for years and years. Let's try one more time, right above the word tone. Dry erase marker. That is pretty much gone. Yeah, let's try it up here too. Maybe the oil's from my finger. I don't know what it is, but this thing is cleaning up in ways I didn't think were going to happen. It's a whole lot better. Let's take a look at some of these knobs here. These are just little plastic knobs. For the most part, I believe I could use the polish, whatever's left of it. I'm just going to wipe them down really good. Now, the last big section before we start to get to the components of it is down here at the bottom. This is the foot switch part. I'm going to apply a little bit more polish because I believe I can bring back some of the uniformity of this pedal. I'm going to really try to get this time in between all the letters for Boss, the B-O-S-S, in the middle of the O there. That's actually looking really good. All the nooks and crannies. All right, there's some excess polish here, so I'm going to try and take a dry section of this cloth and try to wipe it down so we don't see any of those streaks. Now let's talk about the components. Before we put the knobs back on, this is where you're going to want to get you some electronic cleaner. This is contact cleaner, is quick drying formula, cleans and protects sensitive electronic equipment. So we're going to put a nozzle on this thing, and this is what we're going to be spraying into each of the input and output jacks, also the power supply. I'll show you how to do that. And then all these knobs as well, potentiometers, whatever you would call them, we're going to spray and make sure those are clean and also working like they're supposed to be working. Again, we're going to use the contact cleaner. If you need any of this stuff, I'll put links in the description as well. First spot I want to start is actually with the input and output jacks. All I'm going to do is give it a squirt. And then I want to take this patch cable I've got. Just going to insert it, rotate it about 3 times or so, just to make sure that contact cleaner is evenly applied. Do the same thing on this side. Just give it a little spray. Make sure your face isn't near it when you're doing that. Okay, that will take care of the input jacks. Now for the power supply, it's very important if you are going to use a barrel connector like this that is not plugged in. Make sure you're not plugged in to an outlet. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to spray a little contact cleaner right inside. And I'll take this barrel connector. Just going to put it in 3 times or so. And I'll give that some time to dry as well. You don't want to go plugging this in immediately. Okay, the last little spot are for these potentiometers here. So what I'm going to do is simply just point the contact cleaner at the base, give it a spray. I grab this and wipe. Give them a twist. Make sure they can turn all the ways that they're supposed to. You should feel it kind of loosen up as you're doing it. Kind of lets you know if you've got an older pedal. It's kind of coming back to life. Okay. Again, we're just trying to wipe off the excess here. Now that we've covered all of the jacks, potentiometers here, we are going to put the knobs back on. So I want to make sure they're turned all the way to the left, which is how I'm going to do it. Take the larger ones. I'm going to try and line up the line so that it is pointed at that yellow circle. Kind of lets me know where it needs to be lined up, and somewhere about there. Doesn't have to be super precise. Mash that back on. There we go. I'll take the other one, make sure it's turned all the way to the left, put the gain knob, push this part down here. There we have it. Now, like I said, a lot of these dents and scratches, unless you're applying a new coat of paint, there's not going to be much you can do about those, especially if you're looking to buy a used pedal. That might be something for you to consider. If you see Sharpie or you see anything written on the pedals, just have no fear. You can go through and clean that stuff off. But if you do see any of these on the corners, you can see the paint chip there. That might be a deal breaker for you because you know you can't repair that. But if I were taking pictures of this pedal, I certainly wouldn't have to list it as fair anymore. Could probably go as far as good or great condition. And I know for sure that the pedal is working like it's supposed to. It's not making any excessive noises. It's doing what a blues driver is supposed to do. I'm going to have everything listed in the description of this video. I think things turned out pretty great. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you at the next one. Thanks for watching.